Welcome to Hope Talks, where we share inspiring stories of hope in Jesus Christ. Hope Talks is hosted by Pastor Margaret Michael and Grayson Willis. Join us for uplifting stories of triumph, faith, and the enduring power of Christ's love. Also, if you're in the listening area, tune into 1470 AM or 102.1 FM WBTX to listen to Hope Talks every Sunday at noon.
Welcome to today's broadcast of Hope Talks. I'm Grayson Willis.
And I'm Margaret Michael.
Thank you for tuning in, and today we're joined by Meagan Lantz. Meagan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And Meagan's here to share her testimony with us today. Meagan, just start out telling us a little bit about where you're from and about how you grew up.
Okay, so I grew up locally here in the Shenandoah Valley. I have two sisters. The oldest sister is 18 months older than me, and then my younger sister, she is 12 years younger than me. Yeah. So growing up, I was quite quiet, and I was shy. I felt more comfortable really listening than speaking, and I didn't really kind of find my voice until adulthood. Early on, in elementary school, I had a diagnosis of dyslexia, so learning was a struggle. Definitely had an impact on self-esteem as well as self-worth, but it did kind of lead to some resourcefulness that led through adulthood. I learned to read kind of the emotional climate of a room really easily, just kind of based on dynamics. I fell into the role a lot of the times as a natural helper and just kind of that peacemaker, really without realizing it, in a lot of my relationships, whether it was within school, whether it was within home life. That's kind of the instinctual role that I fell into.
When did you realize that? Like how old were you when you realized, hey, this is what I'm doing?
It probably didn't really sink in until after my younger sister was born. I like to kind of be like a mother hen a lot of the times with her. And I think that's kind of when it started to set in, was during those years. Yeah.
It's amazing how we kind of adapt and can read the room and respond from that. So was church a part of your story growing up?
Yeah, so church was a pretty big part of my story growing up. I would attend church with my older sister and my grandmother, and that was a big part of like our weekend routine. Parents worked a lot, so weekends we spent often at my grandmother's house. And we had a routine of Saturday night, we would always kind of have like a TV movie night, and then Sunday morning we would get up and go to church, and then we would kind of help her with some of the things that she needed done to prepare for the following week. And it was a good kind of stable, I guess, relationship that we had. I liked kind of the reliability and the stability that my grandmother offered. She was just a wonderful lady all around. But just having that routine built into my system was like an area of predictability. And that was nice to have.
I think you are a very much of a routine person.
I do.
You could exhale when you got there because you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I knew what was going to happen, and it was a safety and a comfort in knowing what to expect and what was going to happen. Yeah.
And I'm sure that grounded you to lean into those, hey, this is when I have peace and when I have exhale and I know what's coming. Grayson, I have a feeling you're kind of like that too, right?
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, but yeah, I like to know what's coming too. But yeah, it's really interesting how you were there and that just become really a rhythm for your life. Wow.
Yeah, it certainly did.
Yeah. So did you accept Christ as a young child? Was that something that came later?
So I did as a young child. As much as a young child can really have that level of understanding, I did. There were moments, especially like during my high school years, that I know I kind of withdrew, maybe would be the word. I kind of pulled back a bit, but I know that he was always there, and he was constantly, I know that he was constantly pursuing me through that, if
absolutely.
that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We believe that he pursues us for sure. And he don't let up when we're teenagers. Thank goodness, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I was thinking about, so at the time of this recording, which is earlier than it'll play, this past Sunday, Pastor Kevin used 3 chairs, and one of them was indifference, which is kind of in the middle. It's not where we want to be, but God still pursues us whether we're pursuing him or not.
Right.
Yeah, that's so true. And we can, for me, and I don't know if you can look back in those years and see his protection on you. Even when you were not, like you said, you accepted Christ to the best of your ability and what you understood, and then, life happened to you. Mm-hmm. And can you look back in those teenage years and go, wow, there was protection there. I didn't see it then, but I look back now and see that he was definitely pursuing me, but protecting me too.
Yeah. There were definitely some moments. I know through my teenage years, I definitely had some rocky relationships with dating, but I met my now husband when I was 16, and we started dating in high school. So he's just an all-around amazing human. We did, when I was a freshman in college, I found out that I was pregnant with our now 18-year-old son, who is also now a freshman in college. So we stepped into adulthood a lot sooner than we ever expected. And it was kind of a difficult time learning how to balance school, work, motherhood, all the things that come with being a young parent. Yeah. But God was definitely there and definitely pursuing us. Yeah. I'll say, actually, Grayson, it was your dad. I remember one day, because my younger sister, we would bring her to church with us. And I'd come upstairs. I was so heavily pregnant. So I was always a little exasperated by the time I made it down the steps. And he saw me in the lobby, and I probably was looking like some sort of hot mess. And he was probably worried about, my actual well-being. But he looked at me and he kind of was like, "Are you okay, Mama?" Or it was something to that effect. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was interesting because I felt like I was finally acknowledged as a mother.
Wow. Wow.
And that was one of those connections that I made that I was like, yes, this is the church. This is home, and this is where we're going to be. And here we are 19-ish years later, still here and still, finding it as the same church home. But that's definitely one of those places where God knew where we needed to be, and he was definitely pursuing us.
Yeah. It's amazing how those brief encounters can have lasting effects. Yeah. And that's God. That's Christ in us, right? When he speaks through his people and brings affirmation.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah.
It was. And it was something that was so simple, yet just kind of feeling like we were in a society that we didn't really know where our place was. We didn't fit in with regular teens our age, but we also didn't fit in with the majority of new parents. So it was a hard place to be, but just feeling that acknowledgement meant the world at that time. Yeah. So,
wow.
And I think that's a lesson that not to miss those small opportunities to minister to people in our exchanges in our everyday, even if it's just something small word of encouragement, small word of, how can I help you? Do you need anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really powerful. So you had your son, and what did your walk of faith look like? That was 19 years ago.
So it was rocky. Honestly, I had a very driven personality. And I honestly think falling into the category of being a teenage parent kind of pushed me a little further to prove people wrong that told me that I had ruined my life. So really a big portion of it was finally figuring out how I wanted to move forward. I leaned really hard into a hustle for worth mentality, and I threw myself into work a lot. I worked really, really long hours in the human services field. I was going to school full time. I was doing all of these things that I felt like I needed to do to prove my worthiness for years and years and years. Honestly, that didn't really change until probably within about the last 2 years. I really kind of created this false sense of security, of feeling in control of every aspect of life, even though I wasn't actually in control. I attended church. I thought that I was kind of following Christ, but I didn't want to completely give up control. I wanted that control because I wanted the predictability, I wanted the routine, and I wanted to feel stable. And I had a hard time kind of moving away from that.
And you were spending a lot of time, I think about you working in a human services field, and you wanted to help others, find that stability. It's beautiful to see that, but you were also going to school. And so how did that, fast forward to 2 years, like what changed?
So honestly, the biggest piece that changed was a group counseling class that I had. The group counseling class required me to attend, I think it was 4 Celebrate Recovery meetings, or 4 AA meetings. So I found myself at Celebrate Recovery. And although I was there really kind of to check off a box for graduate school, I am still attending Celebrate Recovery today regularly because I know that I need it. And it offered me a very practical guideline on how to look at my habits and how they are affecting my life, affecting my relationship with Christ, affecting my relationships with others. And it offered me hope. Yeah. I mean, a lot of hope that I just didn't even consider that I was missing before.
So you were a self-proclaimed workaholic, right?
Yeah, definitely fit the bill for that.
I've been there and done that too. So how did that, I'm trying to dig in, how did that begin to change through Celebrate Recovery? I'm always intrigued in hearing, because people will come and go, I don't know that this is working. I don't see any changes. So what was that like for you? You came 4 times because you had to for a class. How did that transformation start taking place in you, where you even come to a place where you realize, hey, I am a workaholic? What did that look like for you?
So I think I always had that realization that I was a workaholic. I just wasn't at a place where I was willing to admit that. And I think that one of the strong components as well was I didn't really want to admit the brokenness component of things. And after attending Celebrate Recovery, even in those first 4 meetings, people are very accepting and they listen and they care. And just having, I guess, kind of that dynamic flip where you feel like, okay, I don't have to just hold all this in and hide all of this. I feel like I'm around people that are safe, that I can have very transparent conversations with. That part was healing. But I think where a lot of really the true healing came through was during the STEP study program. And also with, honestly, it was one of the people that you introduced me to my first night there. That human has been, she's been an amazing support for me moving forward. So it just, the relationships that I've built that have fostered positive life habits, following Christ, making sure that I'm being attentive of, I guess, my choices and my actions, and having the accountability piece is important.
Yeah. Well, and for me, and I don't know if you feel this way, but when you come into a group and you talked about the STEP study, So on Monday nights, we have what are called open share groups where anybody can come into those groups. But then there's, if you want to take it to a deeper level, there's a Bible study. You can do a step study where it's a closed group, like 6 to 8 men or women, that go through like around a 9-month Bible study on the 12 steps and the 8 principles. And in that group, there's really a deep trust and there is a deeper sharing that happens. And I think that is having that community, that a no judgment zone, to be able to process some of those things that you held in, that was really powerful for me, to have that community Monday night and, the other nights when there's groups like that too. So you were just here, you were coming on Sunday mornings, and you get into this class, have to take these 4 weeks. What was your thought about Celebrate Recovery before you came? Did you have an idea of what it was going to be like? Like, obviously it was different, because I think sometimes we have an idea of what we think something's going to be.
I don't know that I really had given it that much thought, honestly. Prior to, I was just like, oh, I have to do this for this class, and I'm going to do it and make it happen because I'm not going to lose my 4.0 GPA. Yeah. Like, that was literally my driving force. Like, I wanted to keep everything, like, it was a checklist. Like, I wasn't even considering, like, what is this going to be like, or what's, like, it was, I'm checking it boxes off as I'm moving through it. Like, so I didn't really consider that piece prior to coming. I did remember, like, from attending Sunday mornings, occasionally, like, hearing about the Celebrate Recovery program, and I know that there was a couple of times that I was like, that's interesting. Like, I could maybe use that. So, like, I knew that I had workaholic tendencies. I knew that I had, some anxious tendencies and some self-worth issues. So, like, I knew that they were kind of deeply ingrained in me, but I wasn't at a place that I wanted to pause and actually move forward to work through that. I'm not a person that likes to feel their feelings. I like to keep everything really compartmentalized and tied up with a bow and pretend that it is fabulous and shiny and just everything is okay. But it wasn't. And I felt like I was struggling inside, but I wasn't able to kind of get myself to the point to do that on my own. And when you talk about God pursuing you, like, that was definitely another big one. Like, he used a school project to force me to do what I needed to do to finally heal. So, like, when he pursues you, like, he pursues you.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's amazing.
Meagan, Pastor Margaret mentioned you shared about Celebrate Recovery and what it's meant to you, but now you've kind of stepped in and helped lead, like helping others. So you've talked about how you've been able to get some help. So how did that sense a tug or whatever on your heart to help lead and help serve with Celebrate Recovery? Share about that.
I think that that's part of kind of the natural helper role that I tend to lean into often. I like being able to kind of help others process through their emotions. And I mean, like I said earlier, working in kind of the human services field, that is a lot of what my entire career has been geared toward, has been mental health. So I always enjoyed that aspect of it. So I think it just felt normal and natural to kind of move into that leadership role within Celebrate Recovery, especially with, being able to work with the kids a lot. I do enjoy that because the majority of my actual work is with adults, so it's nice to have that different component, I guess. Yeah,
and I think, so there's another part of Celebrate Recovery. It's called Celebration Place for our kids, ages 5 through 11. And so you lead that. Tell us, like, you've seen and been through the program and the 12 steps as an adult. What is it like? Because there might be a parent that goes, my child probably could use, what is it that is kind of the goal of Celebration Place. So they're on the same schedule as far as lesson. They get a lesson on their level as the parents, so they can have those conversations and talk about that on the way home or throughout the week. But what does that look like for a child?
Yeah, so really the lessons that the adults are learning, like you said, the children are learning the same lesson. So I would say probably the biggest goal is so the children and the adults can kind of have ongoing conversations throughout the week about what they learned and be on the same page. And really just to offer a place where the kids can exhale. We do the lesson component, but we also have time for free play. We do crafts, we do games, things where they feel like they can just decompress and exhale for a little bit is important as well.
Yeah, and I think helping them to learn what are healthy emotions and how to kind of work through when they're having a tough day.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I've watched that with these kids, like it's amazing what they learn. And then it does give a really good opportunity, it gives a great opportunity for the family to have conversation and kind of process some of those things together. So, yeah, it's really, I'm really grateful that you enjoy working with the kids and, leading that team.
And it gives them a safe place to share maybe what's on their mind or what they're dealing with and struggling with, and we all, regardless of what our age is, have different things that we're dealing with.
Exactly.
Meagan, what else about your story, your testimony, would you like to share with us?
Great question.
Definitely want to hear about your family.
Yeah.
And your wildlife at home.
Yeah, so family is quite, family life is busy. We have 3 teenage boys. The oldest, he's a freshman in college, but he's doing online college, so he lives at home with us still. And then we also have 2 14-year-old sons, and we have 2 elderly gentlemen, family members that live with us. So life is very, very busy at home. But we do well, I guess, with that level of busyness. Like I said earlier, I like predictability and routine. So we have very, very steady routines that we follow. But with that being said, just kind of that steadiness has offered a lot of, I guess, peace within the chaos that we have at times. So it's been, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that. I'm just intrigued and how you all manage that together and do it together. Like, it truly is. From my perspective, it's teamwork.
Oh, definitely.
It's definitely all of the, when you're caregiving, like there's always doctor's appointments and, there's always whatever's going on in life. And then there's the extra things that happen. So, yeah, I watch but I've observed how you all balance that out and do that together, which is amazing.
So we call this program Hope Talks. What right now is giving you the most hope in your life?
I would say just knowing that God is there and He is steady, even when life is really busy and chaotic and feels like a lot. His faithfulness has just been kind of woven through our story since I was born. It's been woven through that story. So just seeing the growth that I've made spiritually, mentally, just over the last year brings a lot of hope. And just, I guess, knowing that really, like, God doesn't waste a hurt, I believe, is something that I've heard you say often. So just knowing that there's purpose to the seasons that I've been through in life so far, and that I am growing. Things that have once felt heavy don't feel quite as heavy anymore. So just kind of maintaining that hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
It is really good. Just mentioned, I love that imagery of this tapestry of, faithfulness, how he weaves the things together and lives together, and he doesn't waste a hurt. You impact a lot of people. You have compassion and just this heart to care for others, wherever you're at, whether it's at CR or if it's at work, if it's at home. And so, yeah, I'm thinking about there's this imagery of a pot that has been cracked. And, that's where the light shines through, right? Because Christ in us, and shines through those places that were once a flaw that has turned into, or a broken place that has turned into a place where his light shines through, because you've allowed him to bring deep healing into those places. Yeah. So it's beautiful. If someone were listening today and they're like, I don't know. I just don't know if it's for me. I don't know if I would want to go to Celebrate Recovery. What would you say to them?
I would say that healing is open for everyone. And when you walk through the doors, you will be welcomed. You will be welcomed by a community of people that love you, and they really do want to be there to support you. So it's a beautiful place, and it is where healing happens.
Well, Meagan, thank you for joining us on Hope Talks today. It's been great to have you. And Pastor Margaret, would you mind closing us out, saying a prayer for Meagan and for her family? And
Absolutely. Would love it. Father, I feel your presence in this room. I'm so grateful that you have made us to where we can have our minds transformed. That you want to give us, you give us new ways to think. You give us the mind of Christ through your Holy Spirit. And I thank you for Meagan and just how she has taken what life has given her and has laid that before you. She's surrendered that, and she gives back to you on a regular basis, whether it's at home, at work, at Celebrate Recovery, wherever you place her within the community. I've seen just her compassion for those in our community that are struggling. And so, Lord, I don't know what all of the needs are that she has today, that her family has, but God, it's not lost on you what those needs are. And so I pray that you would minister to the tender places in her life and in her family's life, those tender places that need a touch from you. And I would extend that to everyone listening today, the tender places that every person listening may have, that they might feel unseen or unheard, possibly like Meagan felt at one point in her life. Lord, I pray that we would all know that you see us, that you do pursue us, and that you have things planned for Meagan and her family and for those listening. And Ephesians 3 says that you have things planned for us we've never thought of or imagined. And so I'm grateful for that today. I'm grateful for Meagan and her story, the way she ministers to me, just being in ministry together. I thank you for those relationships and partnerships. And so I place all of this in your hands, Lord, and I trust you with every detail. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you for listening to today's broadcast of Hope Talks. I pray that as you've heard Meagan Lantz's testimony today, that it truly has been a half hour of hope for your life. May God bless.
Hope Talks is sponsored by Church of the Nazarene in Harrisonburg in partnership with Sunshine Ministries. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Your feedback helps us spread hope to even more listeners. Stay tuned for more uplifting stories in the next episode. Until then, keep the faith, share the love, and find joy in the hope that Jesus Christ brings.